The best coaches I know are obsessed with one thing, and that's getting better. And if you want to change the most lives, you've got to keep doing the work yourself. My name is Paul O'Neid, and I've spent the last 20 years learning, pushing limits, asking better questions, challenging assumptions, and helping coaches become the best version of themselves so that they can do the same for the people they serve. This is the Coaches Corner University podcast. Let's raise the bar.
Yeah.
And we're live. We're
Here
not
we
doing the
are.
typical intro this time because I went the professional route and I filmed an intro.
Whew.
I even filmed a couple ad reads. So spoiler alert, people who are listening, you're going to get some professional ad reads in here. Tasha, what's up?
What's up, Paul? Nice to see you tonight.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
For those listening, I'm speaking with Tasha Wolf Whalen, coolest middle name in the world.
Yes.
One of my
5 middle names, actually.
Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite humans, better half to Dan Stevenson, who was on the podcast a couple weeks ago. I want to start off with a question. You guys just opened your first gym after working in many gyms before that at the highest level in terms of corporate. How does it feel?
You know, it's actually a blend of emotions. I'm not gonna lie. It is absolutely incredible. Actually, our first official day is going to be on Monday. So we're not even quite officially open. We had our soft launch this week. So kind of took our current clientele in there, kind of giving them a little taste of the new facility, kind of the VIP type of thing. And very cool, very exciting to see their reactions to the new space. And we are wildly proud. And we step back in this space and you just take a moment to think about where we are today and where we were before, even just a few months ago. And it is absolutely one of the proudest things that I personally have ever done in my life, and am wildly honored to be doing it next to someone that has just completely changed my life, and has made my life so much better. And at the same time, it is the most overwhelming, stressful thing to do. And we did this actually kind of fast too. This kind of came in unexpectedly, where we actually took over a gym. So it wasn't where traditionally, a lot of our friends even have opened up gyms and they do it from scratch, right? The build outs, you find the place, you hire the contractors, build it out, do all of it from scratch. So we actually had a pretty cool opportunity to take over a facility already, which was actually nice. It saved us time, but it meant we moved really, really fast into this. Cool opportunity, very exciting, and pretty overwhelming at the same time, just because of a lot of stuff on our plate at the same time that we're opening it. But hands down, a very cool thing to do and very exciting thing for us. Yeah.
There's so many threads that I could pull on this because, a few months ago, you mentioned you guys were in a completely different position.
Yep.
You're both, I think Dan had just left, or maybe you guys are both still working at the gym, but you're both working in top level management of a hunormous facility.
Yeah.
Then you got exposed to the freedom that exists from online coaching. Your business was doing fantastic. But I know that coaching in person was very core to your guys' passion, being in person with people.
Yeah.
Was there a conversation, I'm sure there was, about, do we want to give up this freedom and be tethered to a physical location? Does that outweigh the freedom that we have? Are we worried that, obviously you're not really worried the business is going to suffer. If anything, it's just going to grow even more.
Right. Yeah.
How did that conversation go?
Yeah, that was a big topic of conversation for us too. There's risk and reward in everything that you do, every decision that you make. And we kind of battled this for a little while. And, I struggled with it personally too, of is this the right decision? Right. And I'm always afraid of making the wrong decision. I don't want to make the wrong decision. And probably that comes from a lot of my past, because I made a lot of wrong decisions in my past. So now I'm at a time in my life where my life is completely flipped, and I try to make the right decisions. And so in this conversation with Dan, it's is this the right decision? Should we be doing this? And we had to take a moment and actually consider, no matter what we decide, if we did want to do this or we don't want to do this, that's the right decision. So it wasn't a matter of is this right or wrong? It's whatever we decide is going to be the right thing. We're in this together. But yeah, considering it's okay, is this going to take away our freedom, and our flexibility? And the bigger picture, it's what do we actually want in life? What actually brings us joy? And yeah, we like the online stuff, but that isn't really what fills that cup for us, that joy, that happiness. we are definitely the in-person. We feed off of other people's energy. And myself, I'm a very, very energetic human being.
Yes.
So I have for the last, 8 months now have been behind a computer a lot more than I ever have been in my life, and I have all this energy. It's like people are missing out on this energy and I'm missing out on their energy. And the impact that I have with people in person, face to face, is so much greater than the impact that I have online. I feel like a better coach in person.
Me
It's
too.
real time, real problem solving, and I enjoy that. So it's quite a bit different. So yeah, we considered that. And it's like the reality is, I'm 41 years old. I still have 25 years left in my career. Dan has 20 years, maybe even more. Who knows? We're not leaving the industry. It's like this isn't permanent. This isn't forever if we didn't want it, right? Even right now, we have signed a 4-year lease. That's only 4 years. We're not
Yeah.
going anywhere in 4 years.
Yeah.
So okay, if we decided like, hey, we actually want to move, we want the freedom and the flexibility, we can still do that. There's still so much more time in our lives that we can explore other things if we wanted to. But the reality is that this does bring us both a lot of joy, and we're in it together, and it makes it that much more exciting for us.
That conversation really mimics or mirrors the conversation Liv and I had about moving to the US.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
like, is this the right decision for us?
Mm-hmm.
What are the pros? What are the cons? Obviously, you have that discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And then we realized, like, I kind of pointed it out because Liv, for those of you who don't know, Liv's 8 years younger than me. And at this point in my life, this is my second move to a different country on a whim, right? Like when I went to grad school, within a week, I was like, I'm going to South Florida. That's the decision. I did the visa stuff. I got in. I was like, okay, done.
Yeah.
But nothing in life except death and taxes is permanent.
Exactly.
You
Yep.
can do this thing and people will be like, oh, but it costs you 50 grand to move to the US. It's like, yeah, it did. But
Mm-hmm.
that 50 grand is going to pay for 5 years of a unique experience at the very least. And if we decide to extend our visa or whatever, but 5 years at the very least of a beautiful opportunity and experience and adventure. And I think people are afraid of taking the risk.
I was just going to say that fear of risk taking holds people back from their full potential, I believe. And again, I was afraid of that risk too, because again, my past, you think about that, and I was living so much in my past, that fear, the afraid of making the wrong choice and not taking the risk because it's like, oh, what if I fail? And I don't want to fail. That fear of failure held me back a lot in life. And again, I think finding the right person to do life with completely changes that. Like I'm not nearly as afraid anymore when I know I have someone that is side by side with me in this the entire way. We're in this together. Win or lose. If we do fail, we might fail. It might come crashing down on us. I find that hard to believe because of just the people that we are. We're hard workers. This is my 25th year of coaching. Dan's been in it 20 years. We're not rookies in this, and we were patient. We're opening up a gym after 25 years in it, and 20.
Yeah.
We're not brand new to this. We weren't just like in our first couple of years. And I know people like that, open up gyms in their first couple of years, didn't work out. We were very overly patient. We learned a lot from our peers, from people like you, our friends, other gym owners. We took our time, and when we found this space too, we had that feeling. We were like, this feels good. It feels right. It feels like it's the right time, and we've overcome some obstacles in the, recent times, so the timing now, everything just kind of lined up to where it felt good to do, and we were willing to take this risk, so felt really good.
Nothing's without risk. And I think,
Yeah.
I mean, at the risk of sounding corny, it's like you got to risk it to get the biscuit, right? Like if you really want to get it, like you gotta jump in feet first. And I had this conversation with a young coach who I know back home. She's moving out west. She's got a great thing going, but it's not her passion. She's not living her dream. And she's young. She's 26 and decided that I'm going to move out west and I'm going to be where I want to be and start over. And I was like, you are never going to regret the risk. Yeah. You're never going to regret the risk. And I love what you said about people fear risk and it prevents them from reaching their full potential. I think it's because they miss out on pursuing what they're passionate about. How many people do you know that take lower paying jobs just because they love what they do? Next Level Strength Co. was founded by lifters for lifters. Andy Huang and John Hack know what it takes to step on the world's biggest platforms, and their gear is built for purpose. I might not compete anymore, but I still train hard and need equipment that supports me. I'm still kind of an athlete, I guess. In any case, I personally love the standard knee sleeves and the ProFlex wrist wraps for a supportive fit that isn't restrictive. And they also make my favorite straps, the Max Grips, which are better than Versa Grips and half the price. Visit www.nextlevelstrength.shop and use code ONEED to save 10% on your order.
Yeah, a lot of people actually. I know people that will quit high-paying jobs because they're like, that doesn't fill the cup for me. It doesn't align with my passion, my values. Even you can't really put monetary value on everything, on passion and joy and happiness. Yeah, money's nice, but it's not everything. And that's the reality.
Well, I'll use myself as an example. I actually did the math. So if I decided to go all in on just coaching, so I didn't do mentorship anymore, didn't do education, just did coaching, and I brought on 12 more clients. I think 12 was the number. I'd be making more money than I'm making right now. And it would only add like 4 hours to my week, and I would take off about 20. But I love it. I don't do it because I love the mentorship piece. I love the education piece. It's a big part of the joy that I get from the work that I do.
It fills different cups for you.
Exactly. So I think this is a very important lesson for people to hear, that like not all of your decisions need to be financially motivated. Of course, you need to take care of yourself. You need to sort out your retirement and your investments, and you need to make sure that you're set for the long term. But in the same breath, like, honestly, how much money do you really need?
Money, you have to really consider that too. It's like, what does life actually look like? And no day is guaranteed. And that is the reality, right? Anything can happen at any moment in life. Life can completely change. You can lose your loved ones. You can lose your own life. And if you're not going to live life, then what's the point of working so hard and making all this money to do what with if you're not even around, or the people that you love aren't around anymore? It's
the one of the thoughts that I've had on this topic is like, you're familiar with the marshmallow test? Have you ever heard of it? No. So it's essentially a test of delayed gratification. It's like, I give you a marshmallow right now, or I give you 10 marshmallows later.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But if you take that delayed gratification to the extreme, it's just no gratification.
Yeah.
So if you're working towards this end goal of, I need to have this much money, and you just keep working because you don't have enough money, you perceive yourself to not have enough money, then you'll just never have enough money.
I've heard that same analogy with like money. Like they'll use it like, okay, we'll give you $1 million right now, or you can collect 1 cent or whatever it may be for X amount of years, and people will take, the larger money right away. But actually, if they waited, they actually get more money out of that.
So right? I'm going to steel man that one. When it comes to money,
yeah,
I would take the money right away because I don't know if I'm going to be around.
Well, that's fair. Yeah.
Right. So there's that piece.
Well, it might not be $1 million. I mean, it could have been like 10,000, So depending on the number.
So with Dan, we talked about a lot of the continuing education piece, the difference between like in-person and online coaching. Yeah. For those of you who didn't listen to the podcast with Dan, we also teased out the course that Dan, Tasha, and I are putting together on refining your coach's eye. But with you, I think a very unique thing to talk about is you have been competing at a very high level in multiple sports for a really long time.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about, your journey as a coach and how that's been paralleled by your journey as an athlete.
Yeah, actually, interestingly, so I started off as a runner. So I'm a competitive strength athlete, powerlifting and strongman. But in my former years, my earlier years, I was actually a runner. I loved running more than anything. All I wanted to be was a track star. They used to call me Track Star Tasha when I was younger. But obviously things change. I did not reach the Olympic level that I wanted to or anything like that, against some mistakes that I made in my younger years. But as I got older, strength sports actually changed my life. It almost saved my life because it gave me an opportunity that I didn't think that I was ever going to get again. Because in my younger years, I threw in the towel. I did fail. I'm definitely a failure at some things, and that's okay. I learned from that.
Yeah.
And moving into coaching and developing myself as a coach, I actually got better when I started strength sports because it taught me so much more. It opened my eyes, opened my mind, opened so many doors for me that I didn't even know really existed as a coach. It made me consider coaching a lot more as a career than I did early on in my years. I took it a lot more serious, and I learned a lot more about just movement quality, lifting, what it really requires, what we're asking of our bodies when we're actually moving or lifting. Say like the deadlift. I'm actually doing a presentation for the Real Coaches Summit this year, and it's all about the deadlift. But some of the things that we don't consider of the deadlift and this or movement is what it does ask of us. Like, so force transfer, for instance, it's got to be like a big point, bracing, creating tension, irradiation, all that stuff. I had no idea what any of that meant prior to strength sports. So even like coaching, I was embarrassed early on in my years as a coach because I would have clients that would do movements. Again, take the deadlift. Deadlift is probably hands down one of the most feared movements
But it's the
out there.
coolest.
It
Totally
is
the
the
coolest.
coolest. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. But I used to hate it. I was terrified of it. I had hurt myself early on, but I was terrified to coach it. I was so afraid of it because I didn't know how to get people better. And by the coach's eye, and this is kind of what we do in our course, something can look good to our eyes as a coach, but it doesn't necessarily mean it feels good to the person doing it. So there was times where I remember my clients deadlifting early on and they would complain about back pain. They're like, it just hurts. Like, this does not feel good. But to my eyes, I'm like, oh, it looks good. Your back's like this is pretty neutral. It looks good. And I couldn't help them. I couldn't figure it out. Strength sports changed that for me because it made me understand rooting, bracing, creating and changing from focusing from the external environment to the internal environment. And that's a game changer. When you can tap into your own internal environment and then translate that into lifting, that almost automatically will reduce pain. Risk of injury goes down significantly. So my coaching abilities enhanced tremendously by getting into strength sports by a long shot.
Yeah. I mean, you have to walk the walk. Like you have to, if you're going to teach people how to lift, you should be a very proficient lifter. And I think it's honestly hilarious that you went from fearing a movement to now being one of the best in the world at it.
I love it so much. I was so determined though. I had that goal. I was like, I remember when I first started my very first powerlifting meet, I'm pretty sure I deadlifted about 242 to be exact, 242.5. And I failed like a 264 deadlift. And I remember how annoyed I was at myself. I'm like, I can do better. You can do better than this. Be better. And I just went all in on like learning about the deadlift. I went to seminars, courses, workshops, anything that was available that I could go on. I read books. I started researching. I would just practice. I mean, just like anything, I practiced, and I try to really understand even like neural pathways. How is this actually translating to my brain, back to the muscles, to the bar, and moving this force transfer idea and all this. And I just really wanted to. I had this goal for many years to deadlift over 500 pounds. It took me years to do it, but I did do it, and I was very happy that moment of actually succeeding in that when it was so many years in the works. Oh man, there's not many times I've been actually proud of myself. And I was very proud of myself at that moment because I worked for it.
That feeling of being proud of yourself is so elusive for people who are highly driven.
Yeah.
Like to be present in a moment and truly understand how hard you worked to get to a spot.
Yeah. It's emotional.
That's very emotional. I mean, I've only felt it once in my life as an athlete.
Yeah, that's fair.
And, I've done some pretty cool shit. So, I mean, it's like, I'm curious to know your intellectual curiosity has always been something that I admired about you. Like you genuinely want to have a firm grasp on anything before you teach anyone something. Was your motivation to learn primarily sparked towards your own performance, or was it sparked towards helping clients?
Helping other people, actually.
Okay.
So a lot of this, just even in general curiosity and trying to improve my intellect.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things, it's interesting, like what your childhood does for you,
Of
even as an
course.
adult, and everything kind of transfers over. But I struggled my entire life. I was special ed, reading, writing. I performed horribly academically. I struggled even going into college. I worked so hard. I mean, I can't even tell you how hard I worked in college just to like, I succeeded really well. I mean, I graduated with like 3.9,
Oh, hell
one
yeah.
GPAs, multiple degrees, but I had to work. The amount of effort that went into that was just insane. But I didn't do it. It was partially selfish because I didn't want to be stupid. I felt stupid.
Yeah.
I was told I was stupid by teachers. I was just made fun of. I didn't understand things. I couldn't have good conversations. And then so it really kind of just sparked my curiosity of like, why do I have to settle for this type of intellect? Why can't I be smarter? So I started, working really hard to improve my level of intellect. I read a lot. I started writing really well, research papers in college and getting like awards for them and like doing
Oh
really
yeah.
great stuff. But so it was because I wanted to do better, but I didn't want to just do better for myself. I wanted to do better to provide and leave a bigger impact in the world for other people. And a lot of that came from my parents, that they struggled so much with their lifestyles. um, it wasn't very good, and I wanted to be smart enough to help them, because I
Mm.
thought that maybe if I became an expert, they would actually listen to me, because I wanted so badly for them to change their lives and to help my family out and the people that struggled, because there was a lot of struggle and a lot of pain in my family and my upbringing and in that environment that I grew up in. And I wanted that to be so different. So I thought if I worked really hard and became that expert, that I could completely change my family's world. It didn't,
Hmm.
but it did change the world of other people. And then it just kind of domino affected. And I was like, wow, okay, I might not have been able to save my parents, but I saved other people's parents. And that was the biggest impact for me, that it wasn't necessarily about me or the people that were in my world, but other people's world. So I just kept going with it because I wanted to get smarter and be able to provide more for other people.
The supplement industry can be a really scary place to navigate for many people, and that's why we partnered with TC Nutrition. TC is a Canadian company, which means it's very polite, and it was founded on providing the best quality products to help fuel your workouts and your active life. I used their Batch 27 pre-workout and the Complete Isolate long before they became a sponsor, and I have no issues recommending them to the clients I work with. Visit www.tc-nutrition.com and use the code ONEED to save 10%. I actually I respect that so much more than somebody who, I mean, I respect that so much more than even my own journey, because like ultimately my education with training, I wanted to help people, but at the same time, like I was very motivated to get better as an athlete.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
whether, when I started it, I fell in love with training because of the rehab I went through after a knee surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw the performance improvements that I was getting and I was like, whoa, like this is fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always like, if I can learn something to make myself better, then I can transfer it to somebody else. So it was secondary. And
Sure.
I didn't make that switch until a bit later in my career, where I was like, no, I can be better for others.
Yeah.
But usually when people have a childhood of mistakes or
Mm-hmm.
setbacks, they have this armor or this mask that they wear of hard work to make up for those internal feelings. But to hear you say that, no, I genuinely just wanted to be better so that I could help others, I think that's really powerful.
I appreciate that. Wow.
No problem. I think, hey, it's important to tell other people how we feel about them.
Yes, it is.
Um, so obviously you took strength sports to a very high level, competed on the world stage in both
Mhm.
strongman and powerlifting. What's been perhaps the most impactful portion of that journey on your ability to help others?
I think the biggest thing for me with achieving those things is that it's never too late. Like, don't throw in the towel. And that was a big kind of wake up call for me. Again, I thought that my time in sports, I thought I completely blew it. I thought I was done. There was no way that even as an adult, even in my 40s, that I could ever achieve anything athletically. I thought my dreams were just done.
Mm.
So knowing that the possibilities are still out there, I think that helps me coach even better. I mean, I have clients of all walks of life, different ages. I mean, teenagers to in their 70s, 80s. And a lot of people have that mindset, right? We struggle, especially at different phases of life, that, oh, we're done, we're kind of old, we're washed up, we're this and that. I'm not like I was when I was in my 20s. Yeah, no kidding, you're not in your 20s anymore. But you don't have to be. You can be the best version of you, physically, mentally, emotionally, at the phase of life that you're in right now. I'm training someone right now who is 68 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been working with her for about 15 years. And when she
Holy
came to
shit.
me, she couldn't even do a sit up. And now we are working right now on her breaking world records in powerlifting. So
What?
at 68, yeah, 68 years old, like, it's really phenomenal. Like, that is what transfers from me competing in strength sports through these years, and even at this age still. It's never too late. It's never too late to do things that you never in your wildest dreams thought possible. I'm training someone else right now for the same competition who actually had a hip replacement in August. And I convinced her, I'm like, why don't you just do the powerlifting meet with us? She's like, really? I'm like, you're deadlifting right now. You don't have to deadlift 500 pounds to do it. You just
Yeah.
have to show up for yourself. She's so excited. These people are so excited because they're like, I never even considered in my wildest dreams that I would even do anything like that. But why not? You're on a team, you're with community. You can still push yourself and still accomplish things that you never thought were possible, no matter how old you are, no matter what you've been through in life. So that, I think, is the most impact that strength sports have done for me, to really relay that to other people.
Dude, that speaks to me so deeply, especially with my like change in training and the fact that I actually
Yeah.
I had a thought this past week. So there was a few things that came up this past week. Number one is I'm at a place in my development over the last little bit. Like I can just go run 10K if I want to,
Mhm.
which is wild to me after tearing both quads.
No kidding.
And then I looked and I was like, oh, my warm up for this run that I did on Wednesday was longer than I could run in total 7 months. Like my warm up was a mile and a half. And I'm like, I couldn't run for a minute.
Yeah.
And it's that feeling. Like I'm sure you've had those feelings in your athletic journey where you're
Mhm.
like, holy shit. And all I thought about when I came to that realization, like, wow, I ran 20 miles last week. I want someone else to feel this.
Right? Yeah. Absolutely.
Like
Uh, you
it's
know,
almost an immediate, like I realize it about myself and then I'm like, I want someone else to feel this.
yeah.
Like when I squatted 800, I'm like, I want someone else to feel what it feels like to do this.
Yeah.
And if you're not pursuing that level of like personal
Personal.
achievement,
Yeah.
I don't think you can transfer that.
No, man, that's what does it for me. Like, for coaching, like when you see people like, oh my God, I did this,
Yeah.
I achieved this. There's no way I would have done this. Like, that's what, because I can feel their feeling. I know what they're
Mhm.
feeling,
Mhm.
and to be able to help someone on that journey, that is the best part of coaching to me. And it's the greatest thing. And I absolutely love coaching because of that. You know?
Was there someone in your life that was a coach? Like, have you modeled your ability to impact off of anybody, or was this like just kind of an evolution?
Yeah, I think it's just something that I kind of grew into, and I took a lot of the hardships that I had been through, and a lot of the people that, weren't supportive of me. And I wanted to be the person that I always needed and really wanted, even as I was younger, my coaches and stuff like that. I really wanted just to be that person for other people. That's how I am with my career too, as even a manager. It's like, I want to be the boss, the manager that people wish that they had, the one that they just, dream of having. I want to be that person. And there's something inside of me that just wants to be that for people, be that for younger people too, that mentorship, be that for other coaches, and clients. Because I understand, like, I've been in such low places in life, that lowest of the low, and, barely clinging on, and to pull someone out of that kind of place. I think being in those low places has helped me want to be that person for someone else, you know?
I find typically for people who have been in very challenging situations, it goes one of two ways. They either completely lack empathy
Hmm.
because they look at someone else's situation and they say, I've been through worse, you can do this, shut up.
Oh yeah. I hate
Or
that.
or it seems like for you, it's I've been through this, so you can too.
I want to see people win more than anything. I
Me
will
too.
empower someone. I will take a step back so someone can take a step forward any day. I will do that for someone. I'm
Yeah, you
absolutely
will.
willing to.
Yeah, I totally see that. I think, you know, when you were missing something as a child or missing
Mhm.
something, in your upbringing, you can look at that and say, I want to be that for somebody.
Yeah.
I've had the pleasure of like a few coaches in my years of athletics where I was like, this person unlocked something in me. But
Yeah.
then I also think about the things that I was lacking too. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I can be both. Like I remember I had a basketball coach who I reached out to recently and I kind of let him know how I felt, right?
Yeah.
Just trying to let him know. Um, he told me he was the first person who ever told me like, hey, listen, if you want to do what you want to do, you got to lift.
Yeah.
Like I didn't lift all through high school until the summer between high school and university. He's the one who got me lifting. But the challenge with that is his coaching style fed into my negative self-talk, like my internal negative self-talk.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what I needed at the time. I needed to like hone in on that negativity to move me forward.
Sure.
But now as I get older, I realize like I don't need someone to feed that. I need someone to quell that. And I've had other
Yeah.
coaches who have allowed me to quell that. Where do you find the balance? Because I'm sure having the past that you've had, there is a little darkness there
Yeah.
that I'm sure you feed on sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But when do you know how to use that rocket fuel versus when do you know how to use the diesel?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Yeah. You mean in terms of coaching other
Yeah,
people?
yeah, yeah.
Like when, yeah. It can be okay. So I am oddly probably an overly empathetic person. I've actually been criticized about that in my manager roles and stuff that
Okay.
I'm too nice, too empathetic. And I'm like, to me personally, like, again, I don't think that you can be too empathetic. I think that it just comes down to understanding that everybody's life is different. Their hardships are different. Like I've had
Amen.
people like I'll give this as an example. Okay. Yeah. I've been through a lot. I mean, like a lot of hard stuff. I had a client, who once came in really, really stressed and just like frazzled, just so overwhelmed. This was many years ago. And she was like, I'm just so stressed out right now. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. She's like, well, I just don't know what to do. My husband wants to buy a $500,000 boat, and I just want him to buy a $250,000 boat. And she was so stressed out. And to a lot of people, you would think you would laugh and be like, wow, that's what's stressing you out? Like, are you fucking kidding
Champagne
me?
problems.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I could have reacted and be like, are you fucking joking right now? Like, I mean, but I had to take a moment and I was like, the reality is to her in this moment, that is stressful. She is butting heads with her husband right now about
Mm,
finances, about the situation. And that was an incredibly stressful topic for her, and it wasn't like, yes, maybe to me, I'm like, oh, I wish that's what I stressed out about. But really taking a step away from that and understanding that everyone's life is different, everyone's lifestyle is different, everyone's situations are different. It doesn't mean that I can't be empathetic to the experience of stress and
right.
hardship and all that. So I can see why, some moments where it's just like, ah, man, I do want to just change my approach here, but it's not going to do anyone good. It's not going to do me good as a coach. It's not going to do this person good too. So yeah, like adding to the fire, kind of like it's a tricky kind of battle with people, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's just so many different lifestyles and life extremes, and there's not. I take things. I think coaching, my approach to it is to be a little bit more empathetic. And if some people need me to push, which sometimes, like you said, you needed that hard kind of push,
Mhm.
from that coach at that time. I think people need it, but I think that there's a level for me of what I'm willing to kind of give how much on that, because I think these days I am a little bit more on the empathetic side of things. I'm never going to be that hard ass coach, and
Mhm.
in a degree, it depends on what, like, how we kind of defined hard ass. I don't take a negative approach. I won't do that. Like,
Yeah.
I just know for me, the negativity, it did not do me good in life. When I got that from teachers, from coaches, it made me shrink. It made me
Mm,
back off. It made me think that I wasn't capable or talented anymore, and even if they were like, they could come back around to it, but that approach for me personally just didn't do me good. It didn't sit well with me. Again, it made me throw in the towel when I was younger. And so I just never want to risk that for anyone else. And so, yeah.
How does that contrast to how you talk to yourself?
Yeah, the internal dialogue battle. Ooh,
Yeah.
that one's a tough one. I definitely have to. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm hard on myself. I am
Yeah.
absolutely hard on myself. I have to constantly remind myself to fix that mindset and to change the dialogue. So when I do find myself speaking very harsh, I will then speak very well, and just kind of like,
Okay.
look where you were, look what you've accomplished, look who you are today. Who are you today? Remember who you are.
Mm,
And I truly believe that the power of belief in someone else can be a game changer for someone. So I will always go on the I believe in you. Like
yeah.
I believe you can do this. That's kind of more my approach to things. I will always be the person that will believe in someone,
Yeah, I think
because
I
I
would.
think we need that.
I'm sorry to interrupt the podcast, but unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard a lot about peptides. I believe that as a coach, it's important that I'm as informed as possible as I can be about anything in this industry that my clients might be interested in using, and it's equally as important that I can guide their decision making in the safest way possible. That's why I've partnered with X Factor Labs. They're a US based supplier of high quality peptides, certified for purity, and the same ones that I use myself to help me train hard, recover, and perform at my best. You can visit www.xfactorlabs.in and use code ONEED to save 10% on your order. Back to the pod. I think I would kind of fall in line with you, where when I'm coaching others, there's a lot of empathy. There's a
Yeah.
lot of grace extended.
Yeah.
It's a much more calm demeanor.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned before we hopped on live, I was like, I would not wish my internal dialogue on the
Yeah.
worst
No, that's
person.
fair.
Like I'm so good at tearing myself apart.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I actually funny enough, I had this conversation with my mom, and because she holds herself to a very high standard,
Sure.
often to her own detriment.
Yeah.
And I said, Mom, the reason you've achieved any of the success in your life is because of the standard that you've upheld. And
Yeah.
she's like, that's true. And I said, every single hardship you've ever endured is also because of the standard that you've held yourself to. And so there's two edges to that same sword, whatever you choose. You can use rocket fuel if you want to, and beat yourself into the ground until you perform. But at some point, you got to grant yourself some grace. And I think as a high performer, that's probably the biggest knife edge to walk.
Yeah, it is.
Because
I've tried to channel that and change it a little bit for those, like, the negative things that I do say. And again, this is years of
yeah,
trying to work on myself because I actively have been wanting to get better. I know that the better I can be in my own head, the better I can be for other people.
for
So
sure.
I try to take all this negativity and be more curious about it. Like, why are you thinking about it? Like, explore it a little bit, right? Not be so fixated on it, but be curious about it. And
With
if I
no
can
judgment.
become, yeah,
You can't judge yourself for that.
right, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
no, absolutely. And so it takes work. It takes effort, and like,
Mhm.
again, I struggled. I've struggled my entire life with, oh, you're a loser. You're never going to succeed. Like, I mean, there's so many bad things I've said to myself, and then I still battle today after all these years, but I do have to reframe it. I reframe a lot of the internal dialogue. I start reframing, and then asking myself internally different questions, and then just getting curious to have these different conversations about it to then reframe it all. And that's helped me quite a bit, but it takes a lot of effort to do it, and constantly, because I mean, I can easily just fall back into the negative, oh, you suck, you're a loser, you're not good at this, you're never going to achieve, whatever, failure,
Yeah. It's now here's the kicker. How much deeper are your relationships with your clients now that you're able to do that sort of reframing?
and incredibly, yeah. Like, I've actually been, I think, a lot more impactful to my clients
Mhm.
because of it. Um, because how I question my things, I changed the way I communicate with
Mhm.
clients. And don't get me wrong, I have fun. I'm goofy as shit. I
Yeah.
am a good time. There's still that. But when it's really needed, I can have deep conversations with my clients and help them reframe things for
Mhm.
themselves, and ask themselves different questions too, and understand themselves a little bit more, because I have worked on understanding myself a little bit more. So it helps. It has really allowed me to heighten my coaching communication and my coaching skill set because of it. Because coaching isn't just the physical. It's not just writing a program. You know, that is one that very minimal thing of coaching, but really tapping into human emotion and psychology. That's a game changer if you can get there and help people correct their way of thinking about themselves.
And that's a tough nut to crack. Bringing it back to what you said earlier about like, everyone's life is different. Everyone's perception of stress is different. The hardest thing you've ever done is the hardest thing you've ever done. And I can look at you and I know, because I know your story, I can look at you and say, the hardest thing Tasha's ever done would have broken 99% of people. And I can sit here and look at myself in the mirror and say the hardest thing I've ever been through would have broken most people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But who are we coaching? We're coaching most people.
Right.
So if we tried to do things the same way with that same anchor point of hardest thing we've ever done to most people, we're going to break most people.
Right.
And I'm not in the position to break people. I want to build them up.
Exactly.
So what do I need to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I'm constantly like pulling on this thread with you because I think it's really important is that like your own personal journey is what's going to impact your clients the most. Like, even if it is a selfish journey in some aspects, if you lead with using your own story to help others, you will always end up with better results. Yeah. And again, a soapbox that I've been on lately, only because I've dove so deep into it, is like the AI conversation. You've mentioned it a few times in a few different ways that like, I'm coaching each person differently. I'm communicating with each person differently. That brings into account context. And if you like, AI can never do that. So a coach like you, a master coach, is never going to be replaced by AI.
Yeah, I agree. The human connection is a whole different piece of the puzzle that AI will never be able to be successful at, ever.
Never. And I think in this day and age, people are so bad at leaning into their personal stories.
Yeah.
Like, how often do you share? I'm sure there's a lot that you keep close to the chest, but how often do you share elements of that personal growth journey with your client to be like, hey, you're going through this. I can empathize with you because of X, Y, and Z. How much do you leverage that within that relationship building aspect?
I think it depends on the person, of course, and depending on their needs at the time. I've worked with some younger people who were overcoming addiction and some pretty bad hardship, stuff like that. And so I let them know. I mean, I share if it will impact them, knowing that you can get over that. So I share my addiction problems in the past, the times that I've been in jail, all that stuff, for people like that who feel so hopeless. And if people are hopeless, and if my story can resonate with them and I can connect to that person because of my story to help them overcome their obstacles and get to be a better version of themselves, to get to the point to reach their goals and to overcome these massive barriers and hurdles, I will share. I've shared some things, it's very minimal because, again, a lot of my stuff, I feel like, hey, I'm going to make it about my client. It's all about them. But if it's needed, I will absolutely open up and, express some of the things or share some of the things that I've gone through, if it will relate to them and help them get to that next stage of where they're at in their journeys, then yeah, absolutely.
Do you ever sit back and think about how much of an inspiration you are to other people?
No, not often. Not as much as maybe some people tell me to, but I don't know. Like I try not to. I know it's kind of weird to say how much like, oh, I just care about other people. Like I truly, when I look at myself, I do want to be the best version of myself. I truly do. I work really hard to try to overcome a lot of my internal things and my past things to be at the highest level possible for myself, whatever level that's going to be. But I want that not for myself. I want to be my best for other people to be their best. And it's weird. I know people are like, oh, really? You're that selfless of a person? I fucking am somehow. I don't know why, but I really do, the better I can be, the better other people can be, because I can give them more, and yeah, so yeah.
So the reason I asked the question is because, so if you're saying I want to be the best version of me so that they can have something to look at, you're
Yeah.
essentially saying I'm working towards being an inspiration, but I don't want to be an inspiration.
I suppose if we look at it that way there, Paul. Yeah, I
Well,
mean, I am happy. I do know that I inspire people. Yes,
yeah.
like I mean, people have said they're like, you're such an inspiration, and it comes in different forms. Like
Mhm.
again, people that have struggled with things, they're like, man, you've overcome a lot. Like you're such an inspiration. You're competing at a high level in sports in your 40s. You're such an inspiration, right? So I do know that I am an inspiring person, and I'm grateful to be, because I would rather be an inspiring person than the alternative to that, right? So yeah, if I can inspire people, and that's again part of my journey and part of what I do want to achieve in life, because if I can be that inspiration, then it's just going to help other people be better, like you said. But I don't often sit down and really consider it that way.
I think it's important too, and not from like a self-aggrandizing standpoint to be like I'm an inspiration,
Right.
but just more to have the validation that you're doing a good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So you think about it, you're like, you take that deep breath and you're like, I'm doing a good job. I'm helping people. And that, to me, like, you got to do that if you want to be in this for the long haul,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of times when you're, especially if you're a very empathetic person, you internalize other people's
Oh
problems.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It becomes really challenging to feel like you're doing a good job when they're struggling.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that's very, very fair.
Um,
I think it's ultimately comes down to the impact, right? Leaving
yeah.
impact on them. Yeah.
Talk to me about a time where you felt like you did your best, but maybe couldn't succeed with a person.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think that's really hard. Like you were saying, when you do work, when your sole goal is really to positively impact people and help them change their lives and help them on their journeys to get to where they want to go, to be the person that they aspire to be themselves. I've had times, with people where I couldn't really fix things, and couldn't make it better, and that comes in different ways. I mean, I've had clients where you work really hard to change some things or give them something, like where I feel like it's not a fail thing, but where I had a client who had cancer,
Mhm.
and it's not that I let her down, because I know I didn't. I gave her something pretty incredible. Like she would come into me, but she struggled energy wise, and I wanted so badly for her to be happy and enjoy it every time, and she did. She had a great time with this, and our training, we were boxing and doing all this kind of cool
Nice.
stuff, which she just really wanted to feel like a badass. And that's why she had come to me. She's like, I have cancer. I want to feel like a badass, and you're a badass. And I had done some boxing in the past. So I was doing some boxing with her. And she ended up ultimately passing away.
Mm.
And I think that was one of the most impactful people that I'd work with, more so just because I wanted so much for her. I wanted her to live, and I wanted her to feel alive. And she would express, like, I do feel alive when I'm here, because I feel like I'm in my body. But where it's like you feel like you fail someone, because it's not like, obviously I can't control
Yeah,
cancer,
you're
right?
not an
That's
oncologist.
not what
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, not at all. But more just like I wanted to give her so much more than I knew that I even had the power to give, and even like just the psychology of it too, because you could see how she was beating herself up
Yeah.
psychologically, like looking at her hair loss, looking at her energy level started tanking, and I would constantly reinforce, give her positive reinforcement and things like that. But there's that one person probably, yeah, just kind of hits my heart a little bit more, of where I wish I could have done more for her,
Mhm.
and I don't know what that would have looked like, in the reality and grand scheme of things, because again, it was out of her control, out of my control. But I always just, when our session started fading and stuff, I always just really wish I could have done more. Maybe, and I would question that. I'm like, did I give her my best in all those sessions? Did I give her what she was looking for in those sessions? So, it makes you question yourself, especially when they're no longer around, and you just hope that, you did leave that kind of final impact. And I'll leave with this this person, Tracy was her name. She sent me a text message a few days before she passed away. Literally was thinking about me on her deathbed. And she thanked me. And she sent this message just thanking me and my team. She said, going through this and, cancer, like whenever I showed up at your gym, I felt seen because of you, because of your team, and it was even not even, my other people that weren't coaching her would just, welcome her, say hi. And she literally sent me this thank you message, just this big inspiration thing, and it just like, just hit my emotions so much because I just wanted so much more to give her. And I didn't feel like I gave her as much as I should have and could have, even though I probably did. But yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
the one that's always stuck with me because I didn't get to finish it, and yeah.
That's really powerful. But I mean, you want to leave a lasting impact on somebody, and you did that. Like that woman remembered you all the way to the end, and I think
Yeah.
that's really special.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good
that's
one.
a heavy one.
I know.
All right, let's shift gears.
All right.
You guys just opened the gym.
Yeah.
What's the vision?
I think, at this point, like, so we really want to get a good team of people. Like we really want to provide a lot of education for our coaches and still continue on kind of ramping up that and elevating coaches as best that we can. So we want this facility to really kind of cater to some people that have that kind of alignment with us and that mindset, like, yeah, I want to constantly learn and grow. And so we're developing our team right now and getting the people that align with our values and this growth mindset. We
You're
really
already
want
hiring?
people. Yeah, we have our first employee that starts on Monday. Yeah,
Oh
so
fuck, you guys are
I
on
I know
fire.
oh man, it's like I said, it's overwhelming. It's
Yeah.
been a lot, but it's really good. So the vision there is to get a handful of coaches in place that are again on the same kind of wavelength as us, where we can provide education to them, we can learn from them, vice versa, and that they have this big growth mindset. And the biggest thing is how can we serve our clients? I really want that mindset of like how can we do better for our clients, the people that are here that want to get better, that are looking for us, asking us for help. So the big vision there is, yeah, just obviously leave more impact, and create a team of people that are willing to do that and be willing to constantly grow and expand themselves and help us expand ourselves too. And ultimately, again, we have this for 4 years. If we can, make this successful in the next 4 years, we would like to expand even more into
Of
a
course.
bigger facility and see what we can do. But I think education is going to be on the forefront for sure. We want to educate not even just our coaches, but the clients too. So we want to host workshops too, and just have a lot of people in place. We've been talking to dietitians to come on board too, some certain group fitness instructors who are very high energy, just good, positive people that will kind of add to the energy too. So we're just building this big network of people that we
I
can
fucking
at least
love
be
it.
resourceful with too. That no matter what our clients' challenges or needs are, we have someone for them. We can direct them, we can connect them. So yeah, we're kind of expanding everything in that front. So
I love
it's
it.
good.
I
Yeah.
love it. You guys are on fire.
Oh yeah, it's a lot.
This past year you had a pretty significant injury.
hmm
What's next for you as an athlete?
Yeah, I think well, that overcoming that injury, that was a significant injury. And just for anyone that is listening, it was not lifting related. So I did not get hurt competing at all. I did fall off of a ladder, 12-foot ladder onto a dumbbell rack. That was a special moment. It did take me out for a while. And I did not compete for a year. And the recovery of that was quite the battle, and not even just physically, but it was more so psychologically. Was the a big battle for me to get back into a good place in my head as an athlete, and even just as a person, because when you're a competitive athlete, you have that identity, right? And then you get injured. I know you know this and have experienced this.
Yep.
It shifts things. So it makes you think like, who the hell am I now? What am I supposed to do if I can't compete? And I was told by a doctor that I shouldn't compete again or lift heavy weights, and that I could go paralyzed if I do. And that immediately made a light switch in my brain go off, and I shut down entirely. So I spent quite a bit of time, even in therapy, physical therapy and mental therapy,
Yeah,
to
of
try to
course.
overcome this and shift back into who I know I am. And it just took the right people. Again, that power of belief. Holy shit, power of belief is insane. But it took someone to look at me and say, "You're not that fragile. You're going to be okay. You're going to get back to it. You're going to be even better than you were." And it took me an entire year. And then I decided to compete in strongman nationals. I did do the masters category because I was in my 40s. I was like, okay, that's a good kind of way for me to get back into competing again after a full year plus off. I guess a year and a half off. The one prior to that, I had won the Arnold lightweight world championships and then got the injury right after that. So that was a big blow. And then I went to nationals. I won nationals, and that was a nice confidence booster. It was hard. It was not an easy competition. I mean, I fought for that title, but I did win, and it helped me like, okay, you can still do this. You're still an athlete. You're still competitive at your age. You're going to be okay. You can still do this. So then I went to the world championships. I made top 10. I got sixth. It was not my best performance, but then I had to remember again that negative talk, like, oh, you suck, loser. You didn't hit podium. I was like, stop it. You just had a big injury. Like you just got back into this. You're doing just fine. You made top 10. And then I accepted that, and I was really proud of myself. I was like, no, I did do great. I was told I couldn't ever compete again. So to even make top 10 in the world, hell yeah, let's go. Like that was a pretty big moment for me. So I was okay with that. And now I am sitting at, I am going to do a powerlifting competition. I think I'm going to go to Dave Osborne's actually.
Oh, nice.
Yep, in June. And that's just going to be kind of like a fun one. I'm bringing a crew with me.
Fuck
So there'll probably be, I don't know, anywhere from 8 to 12 of us. And this is more going to be a fun one for me because coaching and competing, not ideal. And I think you probably know that if you've coached and competed at the same time, it's very challenging because it's not about you, right? It's like, it just takes too much. So it might even be a push pull for me just so I can kind of help everyone get through the squats, since that's a little bit the more challenging, a special mental one for people. And a lot of these people, or almost all of them, are brand new to it. So that's like people's first powerlifting. I'm bringing a big crew. Some have competed. But so I'll do that. And I think Dan's going to join me on that too, hopefully with a push pull himself. And then from there, I am supposed to compete in Pro Strongman League 64s in August, and then maybe the Masters division in September. But I'm likely just going to pick one of those because two kind of back to back is a little much. But yeah,
64s. So, you're gonna have to cut down the ice cream.
Yeah, I know. It turns out I have been eating ice cream and gummy bears and candy way too much. But we'll fix that and that is a big goal for both Dan and I this year too, is to get our nutrition in a better spot right now. I think with the stress of opening a gym and just kind of our workouts are a little bit different, right? It's you think about seasons of things like, okay, I'm not really dialed into my training as much. I still train, every day, but it's not the same level of it. And I've also just been eating a lot more burgers and having milkshakes a lot. So, I need
as long as it's bringing all the girls to the yard, you can have as many milkshakes.
It does. It turns out at least a few of them. So that's nice. But yeah, so I plan on doing a powerlifting and then strongman this year, and then we'll see what next year brings, and just kind of take it as it comes at this point. So
I love it.
Yeah, got some presentations too to do. Again, I'm speaking for Real Coaches Summit and then NSCA in September, and so yeah, there's a lot on the plate. I'm gonna go to Canada next week to go teach for an entire week at Good Life Trainers. So all through Canada, we'll be doing that. So again, a lot going on. But
it's amazing. Amazing. I always ask this question to all the guests on the podcast. I stumped Dan pretty good with it. If there was a message on a billboard on the side of the highway, and you could put anything you want in that message for everyone to read, what would it say?
Never quit, or don't throw in the towel. 100%. Like, I think that would be my message, is don't throw in the towel.
I love that. You said it earlier on. I was like, man, even the way we define failure is so ridiculous to me. Because as long as you don't stop, it's never a failure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like you might fail at that one thing, but to classify it as a global failure,
Yeah.
just keep going.
100%. Yeah. Like
Like
again, the possibilities are endless, truly.
they truly are. Like, I think about all the different lives that we live by the time that we're, like I'll be 40 in a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, would kill for the last, like, I look at the last year and a half of progress that I made.
Yeah.
If I keep going like that, man, where am I going to be?
Yeah.
And I know that's not like it's pretty unreasonable request to make of my body, but who knows?
I'm not going to lie. I have this little bit of a secret goal here to get back to running. I run, I'll run in the hills and stuff. And I'm a big hiker, mountaineer type person. I love that. But again, track was like my big thing. I will get emotional if I'm standing on a track on a hot summer day, that smell of the rubber. Oh, that taps into my emotions so much. But I kind of want to get back into running and compete in something running wise.
Masters track. What was your event?
I did the 4, 8, and 1 mile.
Oh, the
Run was
most brutal ones.
Oh yeah, and I don't know why. Whatever, but I was really good at running fast for a long period of time. My best mile was 4:56. I could run really, really well. I loved running. I mean, seriously, when everyone out there was riding bikes, I was fucking running as fast as I could right next to everything I did. I just ran. I ran so much. It was just the highlight of my life. And it's all I wanted to do. So someday I might, there is Masters track. Who knows?
I have to do a 1 mile time trial in a couple weeks. And I'm like, ooh, I did my first, like, I guess, shorter interval session this past week. And I was running at like 650 something pace.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way I could sustain this for 650.
Right.
And, well, I mean, it's just funny because like the running thing, everyone's like, oh, just lose weight. I'm like, yeah. And then I'd be a skinny bitch.
Yeah. You could do both, Paul. You could be big and run. You're jacked, dude.
I want to see you deadlift 500 and then run a 5-minute mile.
Fuck. Right now,
I'd be like in the same, like just deadlift 500 and take off.
All right. That's going to be my goals now, Paul.
And then we'll call you hybrid athlete.
There we go. Oh man, that would be impressive.
The talk I'm giving at ASU, I have like a little bio at the beginning. I'm like, yeah, so now I run and I lift, but I refuse to call myself hybrid because I'm not a loser.
Yes. Oh, I love it so much.
If there was one person that you'd like to see me interview on the podcast, who would it be?
Oh,
the caveat.
Nancy Newell from Tread Athletics. She is great. She's a power lifter, but she also works with baseball players from high school to professional. And she did
Tread's here in Charlotte.
Yeah. So Nancy Newell works there. Seriously, you would love the conversation. She is wildly intelligent. She is so smart and just a very skilled coach and specializes in baseball. And so I actually coach her, but like I have learned so much from her. She is just a fun person to talk to. But again, yeah, she's done she was their director of programming and they just had like a pro day or some testing day. I don't even know because it's whatever, but it's really cool.
I actually met Small World. One of their coaches works out at our gym, at the gym that we train at.
Okay.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head, and I'm really upset about it. Lanty. His name's Lanty. Yeah, he posted a video of that like combine that they did.
Yeah.
This dude is a coach, and he threw 90 plus miles an hour.
Jeez, that's impressive.
That's wild.
Yeah. She would be great though.
I'm going to hit you up for that.
Yeah.
Where can people find you, Tasha?
Instagram, IronWolf03, on Facebook, Tasha Wolf Whalen, or idealstrength.com.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me today.
Absolutely. I appreciate you so much, Paul. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Thank you everyone for listening. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We'll catch you in the next one.